Alright guys, I thought while being in Chicago this would be the perfect time for me to kind of take this video as an opportunity to let you guys know how I got into cars. I never really had a fatherly figure growing up that was into cars. There was no male influence. I had a life event happen and I decided to take my college money out that had been put aside my whole life in order to buy my first car, which was my Infiniti G35. At the time, I didn't know that's what I wanted. At the time, I didn't know a lot about cars. Again, I didn't have someone to guide me to be like, this is the kind of car you want. So I figured I had to do the research on my own. I spent time on forums, I spent time online, just in general, Googling cars, this, that. I was like, okay, well, I want to stick. Okay, so I'm going 4-speed, 5-speed, 6-speed. Oh, 6-speed sounds cool. You know, I'm starting to learn about a little bit about gear ratios and whatnot, and I'm getting deep in the forums, looking about motors, looking about rear-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, and that's kind of how I came to an Infiniti G35 for my first car. I don't know what it was, but I fell in love with Japanese cars immediately, just upon the research I was doing. I picked up the car and didn't want to be just like any other car on the road. I wanted this car to be unique, so of course, Lambo green Verde Ithaca paint, carbon fiber body kit, 3-piece wheels, like all the ricey stuff. And due to this life event, which again I'll talk about in another video, I ended up having to move to Indiana. Okay, headed to Millennium Park to go to the meet and greet and to meet some of you guys. I'm super stoked. Got me a coffee to also kind of keep my hands warm during this as well. And I brought gloves and I have a beanie and like 3 layers on. But like really, it's like not that cold. To give you a reference, it's like 45 degrees. That is actually where I met a lot of my family for the first time. And no, my family wasn't so much into cars, but I had a girlfriend in the car with me. Her name was Jessica. It was after school one day, and an old cop car pulls up, and she leans out. She goes, "Don't you love my friend's car?" And he's like, "Yeah, I do actually." He'd give us a little sketchy blank card with an address and a time and a date for her to show up. And go figure, I ended up showing up by myself, and it's the Indiana car scene. It was a meet close to the middle of the night at the top of the Atwater parking garage in Bloomington, Indiana, and I fell in love. Everyone was so welcoming. Obviously, I only knew the cosmetics of cars, but I don't want to say it was like Fast and Furious. There was beat to shit cars. None of them looked appealingly good, but there was LS swaps, there was 13B swaps, there was a built 4G DSM, like, which happened to be Booch's car, who mentored me, but I'll get to that. So this piece of artwork right there is made solely from tires, and maybe I'll donate my tires, or maybe I'll make like an art piece of tires. I got a bunch of them, like there's some over here too. All these crazy cars, but they're all modded in motor work. That is where I met Booch, who mentored me, was kind of welcomed into the family of ECREW, Bloomington Crew, hence ECREW, Amelia Crew. Not to be conceited, but ECREW means a lot to me because that's where I learned absolutely everything about cars. Instead of partying on the weekends, it was, alright, we're gonna do a motor swap on this Talon. Okay, we're gonna install a bigger turbo. Like, we're gonna be modifying cars. And I got into racing at the time. I started going to SCCA autocross events, and it was the one thing at the time in my life that I could truly control. And that was modifying my car. I can make it my own. I can make it, it was sentimental to me. I loved my car.
don't know if I'm gonna get in trouble, but I'm gonna slide down whatever this is. I don't know if you're supposed to, but it looks fun, like a slide, so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it, guys.
On the way home from a track day, I was at a stop at a light. Some guy in a Lexus IS250 texting on his phone hit me doing like 45 miles per hour while I was at a stop and totaled my G35. I had never cried harder in my life to lose that car than anything, and no damage was done to the Lexus. My car essentially accordioned in into the rear seats, and it was traumatic. But you know, after that, I think one night late in the garage, I was working with Booch on his car. He had a DSM Talon that was always breaking down, and you know, kind of got to talking. In Indiana, it's Ella swap the world, but you know, sure, I'd love to have a GTO, but I wanted to stick Nissan because, you know, the Japanese cars is just where I initially fell in love. And long story short, I ended up deciding that I wanted an Ella swapped S14. It's currently 101. Gotta keep you guys on your toes for a minute. But alright, I'm here. I'll touch base with the vlog in a second.
CJK_55 on my Instagram.
Bro, LS240 gang!
YouTube channel.
Yeah?
Jerry Vlogs.
Jerry Vlogs?
Picture of me.
I love it, I love it. Basic bean. Thank you everyone who showed up. I'm so flattered to everyone who came out to the meet and greet. Like, low-key, I'm enjoying these while they're still like small and intimate. Like, once they get to the point where like we couldn't just go grab some coffee or a bite to eat, and it's like an hour of a wait to come say hi to someone. I lost my train of thought. Thank you everyone who came out. For those who showed up, you guys know the code. Message me or something, slide in those DMs, message that code, and I'll send you some love. Thank you again for coming out.
At the time, I didn't have a car. I was working 3 jobs. I was going to college. I didn't have the time to be down. So what I did was I used the money I got from the Infiniti to then purchase an LS Swap 240 where the build was essentially incomplete. And I used that as the opportunity where I could still get to and from school, but a lot needed to be done. And you know, I thought it was great. I'm dipping my toes really in the hardcore modification. I did modify the VQ, but it was like a plenum spacer, like simple things. Going full hardcore, LS swap the world. I was like, all right, I can do this. I didn't know a lot of fabrication at the time, so that was the route I wanted to go, and I did. I ended up buying this car, no seats, jank. Every single bolt on the car is finger loose, and after a night in the garage, it was okay to drive. At the age 18, although I loved Indiana, it wasn't where I wanted to be for a career. And growing up, I've always wanted to be an actor. So I packed my 240 with everything I own, drove cross country 2,500 miles, no AC, drove through a sandstorm, like, it was rough. And I remember sitting in an empty apartment, no furniture, like, what did I get myself into? Parking out here sucks. I decided to go cross country to California and ended up wrecking it. The tires were too bald, I was not financially stable, and I crashed it, and the money I got from insurance, that's how I ended up getting the Subaru, but the 240 had to sit for a very long time, and that ate me alive. The reason I got the Subaru was more for the community, because coming to LA, I didn't really know anyone in the car scene, and I thought it would be a good daily driver as I worked on the 240, but then I started modding my daily, and once you buy a daily, you need a new daily, so I was like, I'll get a Prius. There's no way I'll mod a Prius. Although, it took a lot of pride to swallow to buy that. You know, I almost got a 4Runner. There's a lot of cars I almost got that were in the price range, but I bit the bullet. Got something I could not mod. Everyone would always hear about this LS 240, but they would never see it. At that point, you know, it'd been sitting for so long. There were so many issues with it. But, you know, I think where it really came down to is I learned everything, mostly everything. I really got my toes wet in Indiana. I was a part of a family that is so dear to my heart. Indiana will always have a special place to me. You know, being an LA city girl and moving out there, I was like, tractors? Like, this does not sound good, but I wouldn't change it for the world. Bison tartar. Long story short, life event, I moved to Indiana with my G35. I've become part of the ECREW family out there. G35 ends up getting totaled, I get an LS Swap 240, I drive across country to pursue a dream, and I get in an accident with a 240, I get a Subaru which ends up dropping a valve, and I end up doing an STI swap, and now the motor has problems, and in the midst of all that, I was kind of like, I need a reliable daily, one that's cheap and I can afford, and that was a Prius, and that's kind of where I'm at now. Vlogging for me wasn't, I don't want to say it wasn't difficult, but it was relatively easy for me because I'm always working on cars. This wasn't anything new to me, it was just, alright, pick up a camera and start filming it. Working crappy restaurant jobs. You know, the joke in LA, it's, oh, you're an actor, what restaurant do you work in? And I was depressed. I didn't enjoy it, and you know, I'm constantly trying to work on my car here and there, but one day I was just like, I'm gonna pick up a camera, I'm gonna try and get YouTube to pay for it, and I'm going to build my 240 and start tracking it. You know, I have my daily, I want this to be my track car, and that was the goal upon purchasing it, was LS 240, this is my race car. Working on my car, it's not something that I hadn't been doing already. It was just me picking up a camera and starting to film what I was doing. But once that started happening, the ball started rolling and people were interested in watching. That kind of gave me a little motivation of, okay, I'm gonna start filming, I'm gonna start setting a schedule, and I'm gonna finish my car. My mom was always the one who would tell me to start filming and put it on YouTube, but I was like, what do you know, Mom? My mom and I are best friends. And then, you know, even Sean, he's been my best friend for so long now, and he's like, you should start vlogging and put it on YouTube. And I ended up, in January actually, I ended up going to New York with Vice and Michelin for the PS4S release, and I met TJ Hunt, Evan Shanks, and Engineering Explained, Jason, there. And TJ was actually the one who's like, you should start vlogging. This is the camera you need. This is the little fuzzy you need to put on top. It's easier than you think, just do it. So as much as everyone bags on him and talks shit, like, if it weren't for TJ, my mom, Sean, like the peers kind of pushing me to do this, I don't think I would have. Ultimately, it was, as much as you guys bag on TJ Hunt, he gave me plenty of tips for me to be confident and start doing this. So in a way, cheers to you, TJ, if you're watching this. That people ask a lot is, why did you build your car into a drift car? Well, it was going to be a time attack build at first. Let's make that clear. But I was at a time attack event one day and I ended up going up to balcony and saw drifting, and I was kind of sold at that point. Although, don't get me wrong, I will always time attack. I would love to get a cart. I'd love to build a time attack car. And what I learned is that although drifting is not the fastest way around the corner, I definitely have a grin cheek to cheek doing it. Cheers, Chicago. Thank you everyone who came out for the meet and greet. That was touching. Thank you, Mom. Shout out to you guys. This wouldn't be happening without you. Merch dropping soon. Happy holidays. In case you guys didn't know why ECREW meant so much to me, now you do. Merch dropping soon. I keep saying that. I know. Okay. Bye.